Okay, so we're going to be looking at, deep breath, changing out a Nautilus on Nautilus P4 on a Grand Design Solitude. Yeah, snowpocalypse hit, and thought we were doing good. This is our first winter in the camper, and what actually happened is we had some heat going. We had to leave the camper for a few days, and while we were gone we ran out of gas. Power went out, but we had water dripping, and then the campground shut off all of the water just to make sure they were safe, which means we had water stuck in the Nautilus that expanded and apparently cracked. So we are now on about a 2-month waiting list to get stuff fixed here in Central Texas. So why not try it yourself? So I'm doing something new today. I am attempting to fix a Nautilus. We'll see what that looks like over here. So this is the Nautilus, the backside of a Nautilus P4. It's on a 2021 Grand Design. This is on the water bay. You can see that there's some Plex tubing, Plex, and then they got the soft tubing in here as well. I put up a sheet because when we found the leak, it was spraying water all the way up into the other part of the bay down here. So all of the tubing, I think pretty much this is the piece right back in here that's cracked. That's where we saw the water coming out. So instead of changing out some tubing, we're actually going to be changing out just this little manifold here. So I get a better picture of that. The manifold is attached to the base, the plate over there, and that's on the other side. It has all your water, and it's really well kind of labeled on the back side of here. This is going out to our water filter. So normally I see that this line, the input, the in line, is coming up and straight into the other end, right? So there's usually a PEX coming up and over there, but this is our little filter. So that's a little bit different than I've seen online. Nobody could sell me just the manifold, so we actually had to buy the whole Nautilus. So this is the front side of it. I mean, I like the design and all, but this bad boy is going to be removed, pulled out, and swapped with the new one. I think we had a couple of choices here. I think I could just unscrew the manifold and pull the manifold out, or we can just pull the whole baby out. So we're going to look at that today. So I'm looking at this piece is where the water is springing from. But what I'm going to try first is just to make sure it's not the collar that is cracked and not the actual manifold. So I'm trying to take this off, and the installation guides say that you should hand tighten these and then turn a quarter of a turn. So we're going to replace this piece. We're going to replace this piece here. Unclamp this, maybe cut it back a little bit. So I'm going to replace this plastic piece with some brass. A lot of people online have said that this is the weakest point in the whole system, where this is like outside, or at least somewhat outside. This is where a lot of things will crack. So I'm going to be putting, any replacement pieces will be brass. I'm going to replace this piece now. What we're looking at here is that this is soft hose, and we took it off. And when we cut it off, what I'm finding out, this is what we're learning new, is that one of the documents that I will link to talks about how you should not use PEX on soft tube. So when you stick that in there, it slides in. If you clamp it down, it'll clamp it, but it's loose, and freezes like what we had or whatever else. You really shouldn't put PEX into soft tube and clamp it. You should put I don't know what they call it, 1/2 inch diameter other pipe in there. So this may have been my issue all along, and that we have a piece of PEX going into this tube. Okay, so this is what we ended up with right now. We've got a PEX swivel to a PEX 90, down to a PEX 90, and then a PEX 90 swivel to the water pump, right? And so that's a straight line that gives me room right here. I can still reach in. So we're gonna clamp all that up, put the water on, and see if the water leakage was the connector piece or was it the actual manifold. So the water is still at that nozzle between that and the manifold, which means we're going to put a new manifold on. Crap. So this is what the manifold looks like now. I've got everything disconnected, except for that one. I gotta do that one now. And I did those top two just to make room. There was a post in a plumber's group that said the plumber's rule is remove everything that's in the way, don't try to work around it. So yay, that's me. All I need to do is to take that bad boy down, and that looks like it's all going to be done from the other side, so we'll get there in a second. So on the 2021 Grand Design that we have, it's got the Nautilus P4. This is the 4th generation of the Nautilus, put together by B&B Molders. So what we ended up doing is removing these on the other side just for room. We left the switches on where they were. This is the water inlet, and it's below the manifold, so the manifold is up in here. Cannot find any directions online for removing just the manifold, so we're going to go with removing the flat screws on our switches here, our handles, and remembering which one's which, and then removing these screws, which should help remove the manifold. Alright, so here's I got the handles off, and the red handle appears to be broken because it didn't come apart like the other ones, right? Well, it's not broken. Learned a little bit of something new here. So there are actually 3 components to this manifold. The manifold that you see there, it appears to be all one big piece. So we've got, this is one piece, this is one piece, and that is one piece. And since my brake is right here, this is the only one I need to remove. So when I purchased it, I had to buy the whole Nautilus panel. And so I took off the handles again. No. Took off the handles again. And there are screws, the round head screws, that hold the manifold all in here. So there's actually a number of pieces. Number 1, there is this piece. So once that is unscrewed, that one comes off. And then there is this piece, which is the top two holes. And then there's the red one, which is all to itself. So buying this whole kit, I was under the understanding that you were buying like one solid manifold, but apparently it is separate. So when you unscrew them, depending on where your brake is, if you have a brake that you're fixing, maybe you don't have to take all of these apart, right? So I just took I'm going to take this top piece and put it on the back of the one in the camper and see if that will be the shortest route to success, even though I undid every frickin' thing on there. I'll just screw them back in, so we should be good to go. So it's time to swap these out. So here again is a manifold on the back side, and I didn't have to take everything apart, but all I want to take is not the red one down there, but this one here. Right. So I'm going to finish unscrewing the other side and see if that just slides right on out of there. Alright, so we just unscrewed it. And yeah, this bad boy just fell, oops, backwards. It just fell right off of there, above these little spacers are on this inside piece, so they go in here kind of like that, upside down, kind of like that, which, feeling very successful that it came off, feeling very unsuccessful because now I have to reach around the entire bay, hold this piece in while I screw it into there, and don't have any helpers today. So that's going to be fun.
This way.
Oh,
Right.
you're left.
Well, yeah, I'm the one who's speaking. Okay, there.
Right there?
No, it's not. It just slides right in. No, that's
It's going to slide in. Oh, no, it didn't work.
No.
Okay. So the top one is installed. I'm going to put all of the knobs on the other side, hook the water all back up, and see if we fixed it. But the wife brought lunch, and so we're going to have lunch and a beer and then come back to this. That's where it's been leaking. I see no leaking. All right. Looking good. So, that's the back side of the Nautilus. And we're seeing no water spray. We're seeing no dripping. And for those that have never seen the inside, once you take off the panels, there's your water heater over there. Then you have these other PEX tubes that go up, and then they go out throughout the entire camper. No water down there or on any of this. So the only piece that we fixed was put some brass in here, and we changed out the flexible with this rigid PEX all the way in to where it was leaking before, right back in there. So rigid PEX coming out and over. That's not the design that the Nautilus people have. The Nautilus people say that this line should be going off at a 90 over that way and then down to the side. But we have more wires and controls in here than they have on the original P4. So maybe that's why this comes out straight. But everything does seem to be looking good. Here's the remnants. Had to buy all of that just to replace this one piece. In here somewhere is where it's cracked. But the rest of this, I guess we will hold on to for another winter storm. I will say that this was, what was it? $260 on Amazon for the whole Nautilus panel. We went to our dealer and they had it for sale for $201. And Crestview in Buda, Texas, they do a thing. If you buy your trailer, they give you 15% off their store. So that knocked it back down to around $285. So I'm sorry, $185. Math. So yeah, for $185 and a little bit of learning, we did something new. We learned how to replace pecs, replace broken pecs, and we also learned how to better estimate the things that we don't need. So we'll be making a trip back to Home Depot and picking some of those things back, but we will have some emergency repair things. Next up will be to take one of these side panels, cut a hole, a square in it, and put some plexiglass in there so that we can see inside during the rest of the time, so we don't have to take those off all the time. All right, here we go.